What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Just Nuts. John here, no Allen, yet again, still in Miami. Lucky bastard. Even though, I say lucky bastard, but Al actually hates the heat, so he's probably miserable right now. I texted him earlier. He said it's like 95 degrees there, so he's probably miserable. He's a sweaty dude. He's a sweaty, sweaty dude, so. But today I'm talking about something a little bit different, and pretty much what I'm talking about is two decks that I kind of would like to see come off the ban list a little bit. Maybe not 100%, but at least a little bit. And that's because, part of it's because I was briefly into Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was in middle school, and then I was briefly into Yu-Gi-Oh! In high school. I would say a little longer. I was probably into Yu-Gi-Oh! For like 2 years in high school, or like every weekend we'd try to sleep over. Me and my friends would try and sleep over at each other's houses and duel until 5 in the morning. And it was really fun. It was a lot of fun. And then now I've been back in Yu-Gi-Oh! For about a year now, maybe a little under a year, maybe like 11 months. But I'm back into Yu-Gi-Oh! For a little bit, and there's a couple decks I missed out on. There's a couple decks that I never really got to be a part of, and just reading the cards and seeing how the deck would work, they kind of get me excited to want to play the deck. But at the same time, I can't take it to any events. I can't take it to my locals because pretty much the decks are dead. I mean, you can play them, but they don't even end up being the right deck because both the decks you'd have to play cards like either Scapegoats or the Mech Knight engine or Invoked or something, and then at that point it's not even the deck you're trying to play in the first place. It's actually just some like very, very okay engine cards mixed with like a good engine at that point. So if I want to play the decks, but I want to play the decks, not just some of the cards in the decks mixed with like actual good engines that would make them good. You know what I mean? So the first one, obviously, no, spoiler right here, is Inzectors. I never really got to be a part of Inzectors, and Inzectors are actually pretty old now, right? I believe their heyday was 2012, 2013, around the beginning of the XZ's era, overlay era. And I just think they're really cool, and I understand why Dragonfly is on the ban list, especially with how the game can abuse loops and stuff now, because Dragonfly is not once per turn, so that's kind of insane. But maybe they just maybe they decided to give it an errata. I don't know. Apparently the creator or whoever, one of the highest ups in Konami, has said at one point or another they want to take every single card off the ban list, and maybe to do that they need to errata some of them. We saw Disc Commander get errated recently, and this could be definitely an option to be errated to make it a hard once per turn. Who knows? And at that point, I think it's still a good card. You're just not going to be able to loop it 2-3 times. Because some of the plus you can get with this card is actually pretty crazy. Like, actually special up to like 3 monsters from your deck in one turn. And that's too much. I agree that's too much. Maybe they make it a twice per turn. Once per turn, twice per turn, who knows? But I think I love their designs. There's like niche cards where like I don't love all plants, but certain archetypes in plants I really like, and I don't love all insects, but this archetype in insects I really, really like. I don't know, I just like the artwork. I like what they do. I love that they equip themselves, but they're not really unions, because unions have generally proven themselves outside of ABCs that they don't really get the job done. The mechanic is just not a well-designed mechanic overall, or at least maybe it was at one point, but it can't keep up with where the game is now outside of ABCs, and A is on the ban list now, so whoops. The other one is Hornet right now, and I actually think Hornet can come back to 3 right now, and it not be a big deal at all. I think ideally for me to be able to play this deck, I would need to see like Hornet at 3 and Dragonfly at 2 to play it, or Dragonfly at 3, but I don't think they do that unless Dragonfly got like an errata. The deck's just not consistent enough with Dragonfly at 1 only, and that's what you need, because Dragonfly and Centipede are the only like engine cards that you really want to actually start plussing and get your engine going. But that's only 4 cards, and there's no cards to really search them. So either draw them or you just hands probably poop. So yeah, That's what I think. I think they're really cool, and I think like Hornet's not really good unless going second. You can't even resolve it unless you're going second. So it forces you to play a certain way, and I don't think it's that broken. It targets and it destroys, which nowadays in Yu-Gi-Oh is like so average. So yeah, I think Hornet can come back to 3 right now, no problem. Dragonfly is the iffy one for sure, but I really would like to play Inzectors before I die. Before I'm just dead. I just want to play Inzectors because I think it'd be a deck that I would really love personally to play. And then the other one is Zoodiac. I know what you're thinking. Before you blast me, throw me out the window. I get it. I've seen the posts. I've seen the YCS recaps from when Zoodiac was in Zoodiac format, and it's like 80% Zoodiac with like some rogue topping here and there. It's actually crazy how much this deck dominated. But right now we have Rapier at 1, and then Broad Bull as well as Dryden are both completely banned. You can't play any of these. And I just love the way the deck works, that one normal summon can get you an extra deck monster like Dryden that can pop. I mean, assuming you have your things. But I actually built this deck recently, not with the banned cards. And it was okay. It wasn't even that bad. But like I said earlier, it just ended up being a deck with like, where I literally ended up playing like 2 Scapegoats and the Mech Knight engine because it needed a power boost. It couldn't do everything on its own. It couldn't do it on its own. It could win games on its own with where the deck is now, because they don't have Dryden to interrupt your opponent and get 2 pops, like 1 on your turn, 1 on your opponent's turn. And you don't have Broad Bull to just consistently add whatever you need. It just going through your combo, get an add. So I think I'm curious what people think, because I never got to play this deck. Like literally, Zoodiac's completely died September of 2017, and on that ban list, and I didn't really start playing again until probably early November 2017. So literally like a month away, like just over a month away. And I never even knew about this deck. I saw this deck and I heard people talking about it, like broken zoos, like die. Thank God zoos are dead. And I never really got to see what they do. And I used them recently, and they do some cool things. But right now it's literally like Thoroughblade.deck, or not Thoroughblade, Whiptail.deck, because you're just gonna try and banish everything your opponent owns, pretty much, which is fine. I think it's a decent strategy, and you can make them pretty big. But just the way I was running it, it was like the Mech Knights and the Scapegoats were doing too much, and I just felt like it was barely even a Zoodiac deck. So I took it apart just because it didn't feel right. But I think at some point, like, I want to know what people really think. If Rapier was at 2 and Broad Bull and Dryden were both at 1, do you think this deck would be broken? Like, do you think this deck would be tier 0 again with where the game is now? See, that's the question, is like, we've seen it with those like numbers do tier 0 things, but that was also a year ago. Over a year ago. And now we sit in a metagame with Sky Strikers that just plus like no tomorrow. They just keep adding and adding and adding, and it never stops. We see them. We see decks like Gokis, which I'm pretty sure Zoodiacs can't really do much to an extra link going second. And Altergeist may be a struggle with all the trap cards they set, like Paleos and Altergeist and True Dracos could definitely give this deck some trouble. So I don't know. I think with those at those numbers, I think the deck would be an interesting rogue strategy, but I don't think it'd be so broken that everybody would go crazy. But I don't know. I never played with them, and nobody's really been playing with them at full power with the meta we have now. I would love to do that. Build them full power and then duel the meta. Like, get good with them and then duel the meta and see how they do against the meta, because I know it's only been a year and they should probably sit on there a little longer. I think personally they should sit on a little longer, but eventually, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! We've seen how the game progresses, and the game gets stronger and stronger in terms of just the decks in general, what they can do, and eventually Zodiac's going to be power crept, and their what used to be considered strong plays are not that strong for current standards. At some point, I think right now they still could be a good deck, especially with like floodgates and stuff. They can play Gozen and Rivalry, which is a huge buff. Those cards are so good right now. Both those cards are so good right now. I have 2 apiece. I need to get a third of each if I want to start building some of these rogue decks, because those cards are definitely necessary for some of the rogue strategies. But yeah, that's all I'm thinking about. These are just 2 decks that I really wish I had had a chance to play when they were kind of playable, and now they're kind of not. And I'm sure they will be at some point in the future, but I'm just looking forward to those days. That's it. Just something I want to talk about and share with anybody wanting to listen. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm still posting more Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Anything I want to talk about, anything you guys want me to talk about. Honestly, I just love talking about anything Yu-Gi-Oh. There's a lot of decks I don't know a ton about, but I'm definitely down to learn about them for sure. I know a lot of archetypes got, well, not a lot, but a couple archetypes got support other than Blackwings. I just made the Blackwing video. So, yeah, like Abyss Scripts, Cyber Dragons I know a little bit about, Blue Eyes I know a little bit about. I don't know anything about Galaxy Photons at all, but I think they're getting a lot of seemingly decent support cards, so they may be good in the future, who knows, or at least as good as like where Blue Eyes is, where Blue Eyes kind of has like a little consistency problem, but the deck is pretty powerful when it does work. So, I don't know. Look forward to those. If you guys want certain videos, let me know, and I'm always down to talk about anything. So let me know. Thank you so much for watching again, and subscribe if you want to see more. Peace.